My name is Sarah Elliott. I'm 65 years old. Today is December 15th, 2022. We are in Anaheim, California. My relationship to my recording partner is co-worker.
I am James Villalobos. I'm 52 years old. Today's date is December 15th. We are in the OC, Orange County. My relationship to my partner is she is my colleague.
Sarah, talk to us about what you know about hospice and what your experience is.
I got into home care by way of hospice. My mother is a nurse, and she took care of her dad when he was on hospice, and that was her first experience with it. And she immediately came back and became a hospice volunteer, and they knew she was a nurse, so they pushed and pushed to get her to come to work for them, and she finally did. And at that time, hospice was a study. There wasn't really a defined benefit like there is now, so we did home care and hospice together. But when I became a nurse, after a short while, they started pushing her to bring me over, which I did, and I came and have been in home care and hospice ever since, 40 years. So in the early days, we used to take care of home care and hospice patients, the same nurse, same department, and we could transition them over. One of my early experiences that's kind of the reverse of what you would expect was I went to see a patient with heart failure, and her son was out of the house temporarily, and she wasn't doing well. So I called the doctor, and he said, "Oh yeah, let's call an ambulance." So the son came back home as they were carting her out, and I said, "They'll get her fixed up." And he burst into tears, and he said, "But she wanted to die at home." And I felt so terrible to cheat her from her chosen trajectory. She did get to come back home and die. I didn't know, and the doctor didn't know, that she had a preference, and that she wanted basically a DNR. We weren't that tuned into that those days, even though I was a hospice nurse. If they weren't on hospice, I think the assumption was they were a full code. That was one experience that sticks with me a lot.
For those who are unfamiliar, what does DNR mean?
Oh, sorry. Do Not Resuscitate. And there's different levels. Now we have what we call a POLST. It's a physician order for life-sustaining treatment. And the way to communicate that is on a bright pink piece of paper stuck on your fridge, so that if by accident the fire department gets called, everybody can see if you've already made choices for how to be cared for.
Last week, there was a ProPublica New Yorker article that came out under the headline, "Hospice as a Hustle." I don't know if you guys are familiar with that piece, but if you are, what's your reaction?
I didn't hear of that piece. I haven't read it.
I did, and I find it heartbreaking. There's no doubt that profits can be realized from providing care, but what's lost when people are focused on profits is the gift that we are given, or that anyone is given who participates in hospice care. They're vulnerable, and it's not only the patient, but it's also the family. Most likely they're in pain, physical, but if not, 100% they're in pain, emotional and mental, and they're grappling with one of the most difficult situations they might ever encounter. And for a company to have a focus on how they can be utilized to make money as opposed to providing what they need when they need it most it's just unthinkable.
Yeah, I think you don't want to be part of the medical industrial complex and be consumed by this machine. I think when Dr. Link was our first hospice medical director, and I remember an interview with him where he said, you get to see people at their most heroic, and families mostly taking care of their loved ones when it's really not the norm. We don't like discussing death. It's not an acceptable social topic. People put their lives on hold and change their day-to-day to come through for their loved ones. And it is a difficult experience probably for many, but also rewarding that you get to spend that time with your loved ones in their final days.
Yeah, I agree. It's a gift.